Our panel members, I'll ask you guys to introduce yourselves by your name, where you're from, your hometown, what year you're in, and what your major is. So if you'd like to start.
Hi, I'm Mary Kate Hardiman. I am from Spring Lake, New Jersey. I am a junior here at Rowan University, and my major is Communication Studies with a minor in elementary education and a concentration in creative writing.
Hi, my name is Danielle Meyer. I'm a graduating psychology major with a minor in philosophy. Almost finished the second major, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. But I'm going into social work at Rutgers University Graduate School in the fall, and I'm from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Was there anything else?
You covered your year and major. No, you're good.
I'm Austin O'Neill. I am a sophomore physics major from Hillsborough, New Jersey, which, cover your ears, is in Central Jersey.
Central Jersey pride.
Doesn't exist, I'm sorry, you're disqualified. So, okay, well today's panel is mostly about just elucidating a little bit about autism spectrum disorder. I'm assuming we're all fully open about autism, right? Okay. So I have a couple panel questions for you guys. The first one being, and just raise your hand if you want to answer first. What do you want faculty and staff, like what do you want your professors to know, people on campus to know who are in positions of authority to know about autism spectrum disorder?
They should know that we are not what Autism Speaks portrays us to be. We are great people, and we just think differently than the majority, and that's okay. That should be accepted and approached with warm, open arms.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it's important to recognize that students on the spectrum experience sometimes sensory overload in many ways, and this can be in the form of auditory or visual or something like that. So especially in like a classroom setting, there are sometimes classrooms that are increase the learning of individuals with autism as compared to others, and that's just due to different environments. I mean, if you're in a loud room, or if the lights is coming in, these are little things that people might not think that are so effective, but can impact just hearing like loud outside, or like having the lights too bright, and just little things that that affect us that might not affect people who are not on the spectrum.
Fair point.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a point. What I would like faculty, staff, and my fellow students to know is that people on the spectrum, they might not know what they want at a specific time, or might not be able to tell you, but by and large, when we're in the best frame of mind, we're able to be the best resource for information on how to help us, or how to be an effective ally. Please listen to us before you listen to any group. Like, I'm not going to name names about groups that I don't like, but first and foremost, you should listen to autistic people for the best information about autism. And another thing, if somebody is in a vulnerable state, like having a meltdown, that happens, do not call it a tantrum, because calling it a tantrum is infantilizing somebody on the spectrum and making it like, oh, well, they can control it, they're just trying to get something that they want. No, that's completely ableist and wrong. You have to consider that this person is either in a sensory overload or very emotionally overwhelmed, and you should approach it with compassion and understanding, and do your best to listen to what they're saying and not saying, and try to move them to a quieter place to relax and listen to them. Even if they're upset, don't just say, calm calm down, then we'll talk. Because sometimes talking, it brings you out of the state of anxiety. And as somebody who works as a crisis counselor, you know, crisis text line, I can emphasize that it is crucial to talk to somebody while they are upset and not just say, I'll only talk to you if you're in a good mood.
That's a very
Okay.
fair point. Would you guys say, so this isn't one of the questions, but would you guys say that you feel like your voice is heard, speaking as someone with autism spectrum disorder?
Sometimes and sometimes not. It depends. Like, I've had to deal with, like, when I was younger, there was so much ignorance surrounding autism, and people didn't want me in the elementary school that I was in. They didn't want, like, aides in the elementary school that, like, respect me. They see me like, oh, poor Mary Kate, we should just include her just to make her feel good, or, oh, poor Mary Kate. It's like, it's not like that. Sometimes I just don't want to participate. Sometimes I just don't feel like it. It's not like you have to, like, pity me or help me all the time. Just because, like, autism doesn't, it's not like, I can do things on my own. And a lot of people I've seen throughout my schooling experience who don't necessarily see that. They, like, have made fun of me tremendously. Even here at Rowan, I've had to deal with, like, people not understanding my feelings or brushing off my feelings as, like, oh, you're being ignorant, or, oh, you're playing the victim. I'm like, I'm not playing the victim, I'm expressing something and no one's listening to me.
Wow.
That was powerful.
It was. Would you say does that kind of experience overshadow your positive experiences here at Rowan?
No, because I've had a lot of positive experiences at Rowan. Like, I've had a lot of good opportunities. I like how this campus really cares about, like, people with disabilities. That's, like, that's one of the reasons why I came here. And just have an opportunity to really speak out about my disability. And I've also had positive experiences otherwise besides this, but there's some negative, but mostly positive.
That's good to hear. How about you two?
I mean, I was, I guess, the more I talk to people who are on the spectrum, the more I find out that I'm an anomaly in the sense that I wasn't diagnosed until about halfway through 9th grade. So it wasn't like, I mean, it explained everything that happened, like, going up, like, you know, I could do math at 3 and count to, like, 100, and they were like, we need to hold you back because your social skills are lacking. And same thing that Mary Kate went through was that, you know, my mom, then I couldn't advocate for myself, so my mom said, no, he's going into this. So yeah, but I wasn't diagnosed, so I didn't really know what it was or how to deal with it. And then, I mean, I came from a very, not that all high schools are accepting, but, you know, we had a very good community, but it wasn't like I kept it as a secret to myself, and I didn't feel like I needed to tell anybody that. And later in my senior year, I realized I didn't change anything, and that's kind of like when I got to college, is that, you know, I realized high school sucked. And in college, like, you have so many different types of people, and, you know, you don't have to feel like you have to fit into the jocks or the nerds or the band geeks, right? You know, you find your niche group, you find your organization that you're a part of, and they don't care if you have autism, if you're gay, if you're blue skin, like, you're just, that's what college is everyone is different in their own ways. So it's like, it's stupid that, like, to be like, oh, like, well, like, we're gonna treat you differently. So I've been, this campus has just been very responsive, and all my professors are helpful, and just, you know, people, even just the students are just very receptive, and just, like, it doesn't really change. It's just like, oh, that's cool, it's like something new I knew about it, I know you had that, like, it's like, it's not like they look at it as a bad thing, they're just like, oh, that's like a new fact I know about you now.
That's so encouraging. That's so heartening to hear. So, the next
Can I say
question.
something?
Oh, yeah, please
Yeah,
do.
I've found that, you know, I'm very well accepted in within the philosophy community at Rowan, because I really enjoy talking about philosophy, and it's something I'm really passionate about. And, you know, as a future social worker, I'm really invested in social justice and making changes. So I come from this perspective, and I connect with other people based on on that. And, you know, I'm perfectly happy doing that. And I'm perfectly happy, you know, not necessarily fitting in with the average student at Rowan if they're not really interested in the things that I'm interested in. I don't have to change my interests just to make friends, because I'm perfectly happy making connections with the people that are already into the things that I'm into.
And actually off that is, you know, it's not that you can't find people of similar interest. I mean, I went to a huge high school. I graduated with a class of over 600 people. And, you know, so you could be invisible if you wanted to be, or you could, you know, be known, either for a good or bad reason. And, you know, even in that sense though, you know, I had a group of friends I was content with, and I didn't feel need to go outside of that. I come to Rowan, and it's just like, you know, I just came off of, so the big thing my senior year was that I wrote my college essay about like having Asperger's, and that was like my first like big thing of like, hey, like everyone like heads up. And then a month into here, I'm already doing, I spoke at the Disability Awareness Prof Talk,
Oh, that's amazing.
and it's just like it's just like, hey, like I have this, and like I don't like, and then like that night, like I wrote like a Facebook post like, hey, like I have Asperger's, like hey, like surprise.
Kind of like a coming out almost.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, and that's the thing. I'm not saying no one cares. It's not like no one cared that I had autism. No one's like, all right, so like, like people didn't care about what I did, and you know, like I said, you know, UA, because a college campus, you have more diverse individuals. You have more people coming from different backgrounds. You know, you can meet people that really reflect with you. I found out my freshman year, and it's my roommate last year, and this year, and my roommate next year, he has Asperger's as well. So it's just like, it's like kind of like just weird how it's just like, I didn't even know about that until like halfway through my freshman year, and you just connect with people because there's so many diversity.
That's pretty cool to hear. So it sounds like Rowan kind of facilitates social autonomy as well as just, I guess, your own personal autonomy.
I think that for the most part, I've not been felt like I've had to change who I am or what I do, and you know, in order to get what I need. I mean, generally speaking, you know, I know nobody's perfect. I'm not naming names. I've had situations where where teachers, you know, at all of the schools I've been to, weren't very receptive to my needs. But when the ones that I educated, they were more open to talking about how they can help. And then there are some times where they're just not open to education, and I just gotta try to do what I can to survive the class without failing because my needs aren't met. But and it might be a really disgusting thing to deny somebody accommodations, but I've survived, I guess, with minimal damage.
Actually, off that, I would say I've had professors so I have accommodations, whether it's just getting extra time or whatever, and I've had professors who've just done what they are required to do in terms of, all right, you have a letter, I'll give you extra time, whatever. And then there are others who will like seriously go out of their way to
yes.
Just accommodate you. And there was this one example where I was just I was going through a really hard week, and it wasn't even time with like a meltdown, but it was just I had one. And then I was just honest with my professor. I'm like, hey, like I had a really rough night. Like I don't think I can take the test. And there've been times where I'm like, hey, like I don't have the mental capacity, and they're just really understanding. And not all professors are gonna be like that though. I mean, you're gonna have ones that, like I said, are gonna do the minimum. But I do feel like the majority of my professors I've had, put in, not even just for students on the spectrum, they put in more effort than they are required to, and especially for people on the spectrum, that goes a longer way for them.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
I-
Oh, do you mind?
Yeah, I would.
I heard
Yeah,
or I
what?
saw you nodding along.
Sorry.
Did you have a
professors here. Most of them are very understanding of my accommodations. Some of them offer note takers, but like I usually, like a lot of professors like mail the notes afterwards, so that helps a lot with me understanding the course material, because when I take notes sometimes it's like too fast. But when I put the notes online, it helps a lot. Plus, like I've had like, there's been a few professors that are like on the fence, but I've had professors really understand my accommodations and allow me to take the extra time. On freshman year, one of my midterms took 5 hours.
Wow.
I know, it was crazy.
I remember the grade.
I can relate.
Well, I was like, it was like 10 essays, so that's why it took me 5 hours. I mean,
Oh,
and then
no.
I ended up getting an A. So that was like the longest midterm ever. It was crazy. And then the rest of it, and then all the rest of them had very nice professors, very understanding, and the academic success center has been really helpful, and it's made my college experience a more positive experience.
That's good. Is that something that you?
I would like to say, I've had, like, the professors that, I've had several professors go above and beyond with me, like, you know, where, like, they would, like, I really, really feel compelled to do well when teachers are, like, connecting with me on, like in, you know, on topics even outside of class, or like, if I write a paper, like, just, like, out of interest, like, if they read it, I get like, oh my God, I feel so motivated because somebody is actually interested in what I do, and it's like sort of like you know, a mentorship, and like it makes the semester go by a lot more smoothly when you have a connection with the teacher, and you know, you have somebody to bounce ideas off of, and like somebody, and like sort of like I found that like a lot of my teachers, like almost all of the ones that I've had here, like served as a mentor to me in some way. And that's something, like, as you know, somebody who's going to be graduating, I'm really going to miss that. And you know, it's a downside to going to school online, but you know, since I can't drive yet, it's probably the best option.
That's pretty good to hear. Do you guys think that moving forward out of Rowan, or even in your senior year of Rowan, or grad school, whatever, do you think having this autonomy, having these situations, and having these resources, like the accommodation letters, does that help propel you forward?
Yes.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because it definitely helps me because it puts me in a better mental health state. Because like I know if I had to register classes with everyone else, I would not. Like if I had to get up at 6 in the morning and do that, I would just like freak out. And then I know I'm not the type. I'm not that patient when it comes to like computers and stuff. So having priority registration definitely is a big help. Priority housing definitely, because I had a specific housing accommodation I really wanted this year, and it was hard for me to get it because it's a hard accommodation. But I finally got it after persisting a few weeks, so I'm happy about that. And I'm happy about like having accommodations and really being able to show what I can do, not just be like cut off at a certain time. Because if I'm like limited time-wise, I'm not going to perform my best.
It reaches your potential
Yes.
better.
I mean, the accommodation letters that we get, or the things that like, you know, that are provided to us are, you know, just put us on the same level in terms of we can do the same well as, you know, two people are taking the same test, you know, and one person's on the spectrum, the other isn't, you know, they can both get the same grade, and, you know, there have been times where normally, depending on what subject it is, the student on the spectrum would usually do better, and you just need to give them more time, right? They can do, that's the thing with people with autism and who are on the spectrum, is that they can do the same thing that people who are defined as neurotypical can do. They need extra time, or, you know, we just need a little things here and there to like help us, but it's not like, and you know, that's the other thing, because it's a spectrum, different people need different help, so you know, while while maybe one person doesn't need, you know, extra time, maybe someone really needs like help with like getting the notes or something like that. So like that's the thing, is like people want to help you, and especially now that I know like my accommodations, like really I love getting the extra time, because it's a stress reliever, and knowing things that can benefit me, that I can bring to like a work environment or whatever, to know that like I can say like, hey, I just need a little extra time, or like, you know, give them a heads up sort of thing.
That's a good point to make, us sending it over into the workforce. So you actually just touched on the very last question we have, and that's, are there any specific misconceptions about ASD, autism spectrum disorder, that you want to clarify? Anything at all stand out?
Yeah, like the idea that, if we're not making eye contact, we're not listening. If we're not making eye contact, we are probably really listening to you, because we're not looking at we're not staring you down at your faces, in which probably don't change as much as you think they do, your expressions and such. We might like occasionally glance over and be like, I do think that what they're feeling is a little annoyed by what I'm saying. But also, you could just tell us how you feel. Like, we're not, like, you are, like, if you aren't mind readers, you can't expect us to be, and you're not. You know what I mean? You can't expect us to be something based on who you are or who you're not, to like sort of meet exactly where you are. If you're not willing to meet us where we are, it doesn't work that way, and you kind of just, it's a give and take. Any relationship is a give and take.
I would say, it's kind of weird, because like in our society, autism, or like being, if you say like, oh, I'm on the spectrum, it's like, we get like a weird look, or like, you know, it usually starts with a negative, or a, like, oh, like, and then the reaction comes of, it's not like, oh, like cool, like that's cool, like people have like autism. It's more of like, oh, like now I need to like start talking differently, or like, you know, now I'm gonna view you differently. It's not all bad though. People think having, you know, autism is, you know, terrible, and, you know, pity people who do, and, you know, it's just like, everyone has something. I mean, you know, you may have asthma, I have autism, whatever, everyone's got something. So, you know, if I don't have to deal with whatever, right, if I don't have to deal with like an allergy, but, you know, people have to, you know, my sister, she's allergic, she was born a celiac, which means she's allergic to gluten, not like a diet, like she's actually, she's been on that train like long before all this stuff's has been in the grocery stores, but, right, like she doesn't have to deal with autism, but I don't have to deal with the idea of, I can't go to a pizzeria and just order like pizza, right, she has to deal with like things, right, she doesn't deal with the fact that like in social situations, I are always saying the best things or making the most sense. So like people, everyone has something, and autism is a bad thing. I mean, especially, you know, you hear, oh, it does this and this, makes you melt down emotionally, whatever. It also makes, at least in my case, Asperger's makes me incredibly like hyper focused, and I mean like, in a sense, the way I describe it is I can, if I really care about something, I will like not stop. I think one time I put it wasn't even like, I'll do things because I care about them, and just like, it'll be like 3 in the morning and be like, I finished, but like I worked through all that, and it's just like, you get in this mindset that, you know, that you can just do it, and that's like the one thing is that, especially for different people on the spectrum, there are good and bad things. I mean, you know, especially with that, it makes me, I think I have a pretty good memory, and makes it stuff like math and science come really easy for me. You know, just seeing the equations and stuff like that, but it's not all bad, you know, it's.
I really liked your example about the allergy, like you can just walk into a peaches.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's good.
But like, I don't know what that's like, just like how she doesn't know what it's like for me to like deal with situations.
That's a fair point too, good perspective. Kate, was there anything that you wanted to add, any misconception you wanted to clarify?
The misconception that we are stupid, or like quote unquote, not like retarded. We're not like stupid. It's just that we think differently than most people. Most people can't accept that. So people like to isolate us because they don't know how to accept differences.
That's a heavy one. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, but to that point, some of the most prolific people in our society have been rumored or confirmed to have something on the spectrum. I mean, Einstein was somewhere on there, you know, scientists, you have some painters, and it's not something, and it's not something that, people, you can't look up at a lot because a lot of people didn't know about that. So moving forward, you have more people who are more knowledgeable, and you start hearing more people, not more people have, it's not that more people are having autism, it's just that we're able to recognizing it, at earlier stages, and understand it better. And I think that's how you move forward as a generation, is that it's not a time thing, it's just a matter of learning to, as we go on, we'll understand more about something, and we don't have to feel like it scares us because it's the unknown.
That's well said. Is there anything that you guys wanted to end with? Was there anything?
There is one thing I wanted to mention. A lot of people tell people to be themselves, but when you are yourself, they're like, oh, no, not like that. Because I've had plenty of good ideas I think are good ideas. If you're like, no, that's not right, or no, think of something else, or no, let's modify it. And it's just like, it's annoying. Why can't you accept the idea as it is? But people just don't. There's a certain way you have to act, with a certain way you have to dress. And it's just, people think you're weird if you do it otherwise.
And is it hurting, even if you do it differently?
Yeah, because you want to own your, whatever you have, and you don't want to be ridiculed. And I've been ridiculed so many times. It's hard, and it's hard to really push yourself. But that's all I have in my life is myself, ultimately. I have my own backbone, because I know nobody else will fully accept me for who I am. So, except my parents, but it's a hard world out there. But just to learn to love, accept, and understand it, it will be a better world for you guys. Yeah.
Actually, I have one last thing though, and this is one, it's not my personal vendetta, but it just bothers me so much because it's not genuine. You see it's what prom season, so you saw prom proposal, the guy asked the cheerleader with Down syndrome out, right? I'm like, nothing wrong with that, but are you doing it because she has Down syndrome, or are you doing it because you actually wanna go with that person, right? Would you do that if that same person didn't have Down syndrome or autism? Would you still be asking them? Don't
Don't objectify them.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, well, and that's the other thing that I noticed is that people, everyone in my school, knew, there's, Nathaniel, he has, autism. So, they're being fake about it. They want to be his friend, but they know because he has it. We're real humans, and we have feelings, and maybe we don't see things the way you do, but, don't justify it. Oh, I'm gonna, and that's the one thing, what do you, how, I really wanted to, I would really be interested in see how many of those, those girls that, the cheerleader, it's always the most popular people are asking, in terms of that sort of thing, are doing that, because they're not doing, why are you doing it? I understand, you're doing, but are you doing it because they have Down syndrome, or are you doing it because you want to take them to the dance, you want to go on a date with them, or are you just doing it to make yourself look better,
Or pity.
Yeah,
Don't pity us. We don't need your pity.
Exactly.
We don't want your pity, go away.
because then that creates a sense of falsehood for that girl or guy with Down syndrome or autism that's being asked to be wow, this person cares about me, and then you realize that they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
And they're doing it to boost their ego.
Yeah.
We don't want to be an object
And I'm
of
not
ego boosting.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying this is every case.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm
Or
saying
frown losing
is
teachers.
I wanna ask those people, would you have still asked that person if they didn't have Down syndrome, or if they didn't have autism? Are you asking them because they have that? You try to make yourself look
Yeah, you wouldn't go out with somebody just because you felt bad for them, would you? So if you accept somebody for the whole of who they are, then, and it just it doesn't occur to you, oh, they are autistic, you know, well, that's not really something I think about 24/7 unless it's relevant. You know what I mean? If you're like, oh, well, I'm cool, and I'm getting social justice points because I'm going out with an autistic person. No, don't do it.
Let me, and then, I'll sum up my thought with this,
Yeah.
is that, like, I know some people, like, who, neurotypical people who did some, like, pretty cool, like, creative promposals, or like, stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Why don't you see videos of those? Why are the ones going viral the ones with the autistic person, with the Down syndrome person? Why is it, if you were just doing it to care about them, why did you need to film it and then now go viral? Why, you know?
There's a lot of social credibility
And then
there.
why is it, you know, why if you do something really creative, like, you know, I saw one, it was like, they went scuba diving and they spelled out prom with like shells or whatever, right? But that wasn't filmed, and I just heard about that, it was a story, like, why didn't you film that if you thought that was gonna go viral? Are you filming it because you know you're gonna get attention because, oh, like, let's, like,
Oh, let's
look at,
pity
look.
the autistic.
Yeah.
That's a very heavy thought, and if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to end the Q&A on that, just to